Incident Investigation and Reporting, Part 2. What we will do today. We shall develop an understanding of why incidents should be investigated. Learn 8 common mistakes made when investigating incidents. Learn investigation techniques to identify underlying and root causes. Practice applying those techniques using simple scenarios. Discuss what should and should not go in an accident report. Why do we report and investigate incidents? To establish and record the facts. Facts. Identify what really happened and why. Immediate, underlying, and root causes minimize the possibility it could happen again. Corrective actions and effective follow-up. Identify incident trends. Requires a consistent format and definitions. Maintain a record for legal or other purposes. Criminal and civil. Because it's good business, incident cost money. Incident iceberg. Apparent cost, medical treatment, transport of patients, sick pay, downtime, equipment repairs, schedule impact, fines, hidden cost, increase insurance, replacement, labor, schedule, recovery, worker morale, management, time, community relation, corporate image, fatality, serious injury, medical treatment, first aid, damage, serious near miss, behavior, at-risk acts. Unsafe conditions. Why do incidents occur? Incidents rarely have just one cause. Once early concept was Heinrich's domino theory. Causation models. 8 common mistakes of incident investigation. 1. No investigation, incidents not reported, and so not investigated. 2. Wrong type of investigation, depth of investigation does not match potential or actual severity. 3. Investigation is too late, investigation too late to be effective. 4. Assumptions become facts, statement made on the basis of rumors is written and reported as facts. 5. Witness statement, inaccurate statements, is what witness thinks not knows, becomes accepted as true. 6. Focus is wrong, investigation is about the event, and what happened after it, not why it occurred. 7. Irrelevant corrective actions not related to root causes, lack of focus. 8. No, and inadequate follow-up, corrective actions, identified but no effective follow-up. Incident investigation techniques. Different techniques for different incidents, logic of fault trees. Multilinear event sequencing. Events and causal factor chart. MORT, management oversight, and risk tree. Investigations may use specific tools to support them. For example, taproot and tripod beta and source, these can be complicated. Are generally used for the investigation of more serious incidents. Require formal training and, in some cases, computer software in order to be effective. Most incidents can be successfully and correctly investigated using a more basic technique. I have 6 faithful serving men, they taught me all I knew. Their names are what, and where, and when, and why, and how, and who. Immediate investigation requirements, move quickly, from the first phone call, take notes, contemporaneous evidence, date, time, people, details, depth of investigation should match incident potential. Any incident which could have resulted in a fatality should be investigated as if it had. Secure the site, Work in affected areas should only restart if authorized. Identify witness for interview. Get early comments. Immediate investigation requirements. Inspect the site, take photograph, and, if possible, find photos prior to incident. Secure key documents, maintenance records, certificates, training, and induction, and orientation records, logbooks, notebooks, QC records, etc. Quarantine key components. Investigation process. What happened? Where did it happen? When did it happen? Why did it happen? How did it happen? Who can contribute to the investigation? What? Fact. Definitions. Something that has actual existence. Merriam-Webster. A thing that is indisputably the case. Oxford English. Is defined as something that is true, something that actually exists, or something that can be verified according to an established standard of evaluation. What was the injured employee's explanation? What were they doing at the time of the accident? What was the position at the time of the accident? What is the exact nature of the injury? What operation was being performed? What materials were being used? What safe work procedures were provided? Where did the accident occur? Where was the employee positioned? Where were eyewitnesses positioned? Where was the supervisor at the time? Where was first aid initially given? When? Create an accurate timeline. Went on shift at X on Y date. Incident occurred at Z hours. Use 24-hour clock, assumed, and approximate times should be started as such. Considering using evidence such as stopped clock, data logging from process unit, CCTV camera systems, phone records, security swipe card systems, etc. When did the accident occur? When did the employee start her shift? When did the employee begin employment? When was job-specific training received? When did the supervisor last visit the job? Who? Planning the interview. Schedule the witnesses. For major incidents, keep key witness apart. Allow sufficient time for each interview. Develop structured questions in advance. Allow witnesses to have a friend and safety representative to present if they want. They are to be observers, not talkers. Who? Interviews. Put the interviewee at ease. Choose a quiet location. Sit on the same side of the table. Reassure interviewee, this interview is to establish the facts. I will be asking you describe what you saw, and what you know, in your own words. Allow the interviewee to see your notes. Write down what is said, not how you interpret it. Who was injured? Who was working with him, her? Who else witnessed the accident? Who else was involved in the accident? Who is the employee's immediate supervisor? Who rendered first aid or medical treatment? How did the accident occur? How many hours had the employee worked? How did the employee get injured, specifically? How could the injury have been avoided? How could witnesses have prevented it? How could witnesses have better helped? How could the company have prevented it? Why? Ask WHY 5 times. Why did he fall? He fell through the hole in the grating. Why could he fall through a hole in the grating? The grating was removed to pull cables and there was no barrier. Why there was no barrier? The crew pulling cables did not put one in place. Why did they not put a barrier in place? Waiting for scaffolders to erect a barrier would delay the job. Why would it take too long for scaffolders to arrive? It's big site and there are only 3 scaffolders. It was a short notice rush job, and there was not enough time to plan the scaffolding. Interviewing techniques, open, and closed questions, open, cannot answered with a yes or no. What is your job? What time did you arrive? Describe what you saw. What did you do next? Closed, can be answered yes or no. So you're a welder, you arrived at 7 o'clock with the others. Did you see the scaffold collapse? Repeat the answer back. Make sure you understood the answers. Make sure the interviewee verifies earlier responses. Incident mapping, use whiteboard and walls or windows. Develop timeline of events on post-it notes. 1 event per post-it. Include witnesses, date, time, location. For complex incidents, use a site plot plan to identify key actors, witness location, and other critical data. Identify which events were critical to the incident occurring. Underlying cause. Continue timeline through the event to point recovery, fatal incidents, deceased removed from site and authorities permit restart, injury events, injured person arrives at hospital clinic for treatment, pollution events, until pollution controlled and cleanup operations underway, damage-only events, equipment repaired, process restart. Analyze each of these to identify root causes. Anything which is an assumption should be clearly marked as such. Writing the report. Suggested content. 1. Introduction. Set the scene. Describe work in progress at time of incident. 2. Executive summary. Summarize incident, causes, findings, key recommendations. 3. Description of incident. Detailed description of incident, timelines, photos, etc. 4. Findings. Describe the underlying and root causes. 5. Conclusions. Summarize what and why happened. 6. Recommendations. List recommendations. Set deadlines. Responsibilities for action. 7. Attachments, photos, witness statements, associated records. What to consider. What will be the impact to your report? Can you justify each finding? Are the recommendations realistic? What resources required to implement the recommendations? What could be the cost? Have you set realistic deadlines? Are there reasonable short-term fixes for longer-term solutions? What training will be required? Does it conflict with regulatory requirements? Do you need to share with peer groups industry?